Hello guys, welcome back to another movie review. This time I saw Trance. I have no idea what the hell was going on in this movie. It's basically kind of a giant mindfuck movie. Right when you think you're kind of piecing together what's actually happening, or you think you know what's going to happen, then they introduce a whole new element that you got to figure out. Some of it was predictable. I kind of called a few things that were going on. Some other stuff, once the ending came around, I was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. I should have saw that coming. For some reason, I wasn't paying attention or whatever and missed it. As I was going in, a lady that was coming out of the previous showing did tell me you really have to be paying attention to everything, otherwise you'll miss something. So yeah, that was probably my own fault if I just wasn't fully focusing on what was going on for a moment and missed something. Basically, a guy works for an art auction house, and some people come in, steal one of the paintings. He tries to stop them, gets hit in the head, and gets partial amnesia. Then it turns out that he works for the guy, and it was all a setup that they were going to rob the place and steal the painting. So then the guy's like, okay, well, give me the painting, and he can't remember where the painting is because he got hit in the head during the robbery, and that's what caused the amnesia. So then they hire a therapist that specializes in hypnosis to try to help him subconsciously recall where he put the painting. Then he starts seeing the therapist, and she kind of figures out what's going on and talks to the guy who the guy was working with, and says, I'll help you try and find the painting, but I want to cut. Okay, we'll agree to cut you in, blah blah blah. So then some stuff goes on for a while, and there's a few things that are like, well, wait, how would this person know that, or why would that person know that? And it's even questioned in the movie, like, how did you know that? And the person's like, well, you told me, or something. So you kind of get the hint that there's more to this whole thing than what's being seen if people at some point told you, because we never saw them tell them. Then so the hypnotherapist sort of starts a relationship with the guy who she's trying to help, and then at another point she ends up sleeping with the other guy who he was working for. That's when it really starts getting confusing, because then the guy who has amnesia remembers that he saw the hypnotherapist when he was robbing the place, and so then she tries to say that he's fixated on her and she needs to eliminate his sexual desire for her in order to move past it and get to finding the painting. That's around the time that she ends up having the relationship with both the guys. Then there's what happened after that? That's when it starts getting really confusing. Trying to remember. Yeah, so basically what it boils down to is the person he remembers as her wasn't actually her, it was another girl. And then they're trying to figure out what happened to this other girl, because somehow she's involved with where the painting is. And then you find out that he... I don't want to give away too much of this, just because it's a little bit of a ride to go on to get there. Oh, screw it. I'm going to spoil the ending, so if you don't want to know the ending, then skip ahead a bit. Basically what it boils down to is they find out that he remembers where the painting was, so then he's going to tell the guy, but then he realizes that the guy's just going to kill him, And then the guy goes, "No, I'm not going to kill you. Can't you tell she's been playing us against each other? So somehow she's involved with all this." So then, was it her or wasn't it her that he saw? Um, so then it turns out that what it boils down to is the guy and the hypnotherapist actually used to date, and he became jealous and abusive, so she hypnotized him to forget about her, and then she hypnotized him to uh, steal the painting, but then give it to her. So when he hid the painting, he was actually trying to rendezvous with her to give it to him when he got hit by the car, which is when he saw the other girl who he thought was her, but it wasn't her, it was some other girl. And then he remembered their relationship and ended up killing her, thinking that the other girl was the hypnotherapist. So then, it turns out that he hid the girl who he killed's body in the trunk of her car, parked her car in a garage, and left the painting with the body. And basically, the hypnotherapist was trying to just find out where the painting was so she could get it over with. And then she breaks down and she's like, apologizing to the girl's dead body for, what basically the games that she played trying to make him forget about her resulted in this girl's death. And yeah, like I said, it gets really confusing. But that's basically the story. A little hard to follow, but as things are explained, a lot of it makes sense. There are a lot of things that aren't really fully resolved, but they try to resolve everything. I think they just had so many different angles going on, they kind of forgot about a few. It wasn't anything really necessary to explain anything in the movie. It does kind of explain stuff. It's just kind of a what the fuck is going on ride getting to the ending, and then you're like, okay, so this is all happening, but wait, why? Because, wait, what? You have to watch it a few times to pick up on everything and piece the story together. I've only watched it once, and honestly, there's certain parts that I can't even remember right now, and yeah, that's just the type of movie it is. Um, Overall, as far as a star rating, uh, it wasn't a bad movie. Um, Someone else asked when I was telling another person in the theater that it was just really confusing. They were like, "Oh, so it's like Inception?" No, I could follow what was going on in Inception. I know that was the whole point of Inception, was it's hard to follow. It's a mind fuck movie itself, but I could pay close enough attention with Inception to follow everything that was going on. Where this, I don't know if it was hard to follow just because I really wasn't interested in the movie going into it. I had no idea what it was about. I basically just went to see it because it was one of the only things I hadn't seen yet. I was actually originally going to go see Spring Breakers, but my theater dropped it yesterday. So I had to go see Trance today because that's what replaced it. So, yeah, going into it, there wasn't anything to draw me in, where Inception, by the time I saw it, everyone had hyped it up, so I was following it more closely, I guess. Um, but still, Inception, I didn't really care that much for. I mean, it's an okay movie, but we're talking about Trance, so enough about Inception. But uh, as far as, I'd actually say Trance was a little bit harder to follow, and that might hurt it a little bit as far as the star rating. Um, Honestly, I would put this. I'm going to give this a lower rating, but it's not because it's a bad movie, basically, is what I'm trying to get to. I'm going to give it a 2.5, but it's not because it's a bad movie. It's just that it was a little hard to follow, probably because I just wasn't really that interested in it to begin with. Honestly, it would be probably a solid 3 if I'd known a little bit more about what it was about beforehand and been able to follow it a little bit better. Like I said, some parts were predictable, so that knocks it down a little bit too. But you know, that's kind of with all movies. For those of you perverts in the audience, Rosario Dawson does do Full Frontal, so there's always that. I guess it gets a little bit of a boost in points there, so which is probably why it's a 2.5 and not a 2. I'm actually pushing more towards a 3 with this one, but I don't want to give it a 3 because I think I gave The Croods a 3, and yeah, I think that The Croods was a 3 to a 3.5. I think I said pushing more towards 3. This one, I actually like The Croods better than this. So yeah, that's the problem with a star rating is ranking everything into a small group, because you know there's a movie you like better than something, so then you want to rank it lower, but it really doesn't deserve that low of a rating because it's a solid enough film. So yeah, we'll say I really don't want to get into like 2 3/4 stars type of thing, but yeah, it's a 2.5 pushing towards a 3. So the official one would be 2.5. So that's really nothing else to say about Trance. If you like mindfuck videos like Inception, check it out. Maybe you'll be into it. Yeah, other than that, not really much else to say about it. Not sure what I'm going to get around to seeing next. We are getting some new movies in end of the week, I think. So, not sure which of those I'll get to see, but eventually I'll get to see most of them. So, I'll return sooner or later with another review. Until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the movies.